ça va, good evening, buenos noches, and guten Abend. Thank you that you just switched on the ISWIsion. I'm Melanie, your host for tonight. Sadly, this show is the last show for the ISWI 2021. But don't be sad. We prepared a thrilling night just for you. But today we start with a really life-threatening and serious topic. Our first clip shows the drastic consequences of climate change.
Glaciers are considered the cold giants of the mountains, ice masses that extend over large parts of the Earth and also make up the main part of the poles. They have been around for hundreds of years and form the face of various regions such as the Alps. They are beautiful, dangerous, and an important indicator for science. Glaciers are considered key indicators for climate change, making them a global clinical thermometer. It has become clear, especially in the mid-19th century, that changes in climate are shown by them. Humans are partly responsible for these changes and the resulting global glacier melt. Greenhouse gases and emissions of soot and dust particles contribute to the warming of the climate and thus to the melt. Rapidly increasing CO2 concentrations in the atmosphere are overriding the natural cycles of cold and warm periods, preventing glaciers from recovering. The melting of glacial ice is leading to a whole range of serious consequences for us and the environment, many threatening human and animal habitats. The rapid melting of the ice is exposing entire rock flanks and valley areas of debris, allowing rainfall to flow freely in the ice-free debris and rock areas. This creates the threat of landslides and debris avalanches to valleys and settlements during heavy rains. The meltwater collects in huge glacial lakes, causing water floods, flooding in valleys and creating havoc with mud and debris. But it's not only the habitat of many living creatures that is under constant threat from melting. Our drinking water supply is also at risk, as glaciers are important water reservoirs. When the glacier ice has thawed, possible water shortages are the result, as the supply fails to materialize. The water level of rivers fed by glacial water also declines with the melt. Although water shortages in some regions can be made up for in the short term, water levels would decline rapidly until there was nothing left when the peak of the melt was passed. Since only a quarter of the world's freshwater reserves are groundwater, rivers, lakes or water in the atmosphere, the remaining 3/4 consist of snow and ice from the polar regions and glacier regions. Due to the steadily increasing warming of the climate, the permafrost boundary is also shifting. Within the last 50 years, the ground temperature in the permafrost of the Alps has risen by 0.5 degrees, and in the last 100 years it has shifted upward by 100 to 300 meters in altitude. The permafrost soil, which is always frozen, thaw only superficially even in summer, and have the function of holding the rock, debris and soil together with their ice. If this ice is no longer there, mountain slopes lose their load-bearing capacity and start to slide, which means that millions of euros have to be invested in disaster prevention. But the animal and plant world also suffer from the melting of the glaciers. Animals accustomed to the conditions are losing their habitat, and for some plants the rapidly changing environmental conditions are causing stress, making them more susceptible to insects. Glaciers allowed soil to form in the margins of the ice, which in turn allowed plant growth, creating habitat for many small animals. As the ice giants disappear, so do some of the species that have settled there. The United Nations Climate Panel expects global sea levels to rise by up to 1 meter this century, 20 centimeters of which will be caused by glacier melt alone. According to a study, between 443 and 629 billion tons of meltwater are flowing out worldwide. This causes an annual rise in sea level by 1.5 millimeters. According to the study, while an average of 227 billion tons of ice were lost per year between 2000 and 2004, the decline from 2015 to 2019 already averaged 298 billion tons per year. Some of the glaciers particularly affected are in the Alps, Iceland, the Himalayas and Alaska. One example of a severely affected glacier is the Vernachtferner in Tyrol's Ötztal Valley. It has lost 2/3 of its ice mass in the past 150 years. In one hot summer alone, it loses up to 4 meters through meltwater. Since the year 2000, alpine glaciers have been losing 2 to 3% of their volume every year. Glaciologists expect the alpine glaciers to melt almost completely before the end of the century. Meanwhile, 1/3 of the permanent snow and ice masses in the New Zealand Alps have already melted. The existing 5 glaciers in Bavaria have shrunk from 4 to 0.7 square kilometers. For the glaciers to grow again, cool summers with plenty of rainfall are needed above all. The Vernachtferner, for example, would need at least 200 cool, humid summers to fill the valley as it did a good 100 years ago. But it is not only the glaciers in the world's mountains that are affected by melting. The poles are also suffering from rising temperatures. Their ice masses bear witness to the event of glacial melt. Especially in the area of North Pole, the consequences are easy to see. In the last 30 years, the surface of the Arctic glaciers has shrunk dramatically. The average age of the Arctic ice cap is getting lower and lower. Only very few parts of the glaciers are older than 5 years. Most of them are melting in this short time span. Most of the ice at the North Pole forms in winter and melts again in summer. As a result, the area of the pack ice has shrunk by 10% and the thickness by as much as 40% within the last 30 years. As a result, the Gulf Stream is being disrupted, which could lead to a temporary drop in temperatures in Europe, among other things. Because of this, the circulation speed of the current has already decreased by 20% between 1950 and 2000. The cap of the South Pole is also affected. It loses about 5 meters of thickness every year from the base of the ice sheet near the ground. The temperature there rose by an average of 3 degrees between 1974 and 2000. This led to a 3,250 square kilometer slab of ice breaking away from the so-called Larsen Shelf in March 2002. In October 2004, the US space agency NASA said it expected temperatures in some parts of Antarctica to rise by 3.6 degrees Celsius by 2050. And a group of researchers from the British Antarctic Survey concluded that the western part of the South Pole is losing a volume of 250,000 cubic meters of ice a year. This melting could severely affect the marine fauna, which is already evident in the krill swarms. These are said to have already declined by 80% in the past 30 years. On a global scale, the melting of the polar ice caps will probably accelerate global warming because the refraction of solar radiation will decrease. This creates a vicious cycle that must be broken as early as possible to save all living things on this planet.
We are all gonna die! Oh, Weatherschosch, I know why you're anxious and why you are afraid, but I just can tell you that a lot of people try to stop or maybe reduce the climate change. Really? Yeah, and we also interviewed some of them. Where I can see this? Yeah, we interviewed the Fridays for Future from Germany, and you find our interview on our YouTube channel. And maybe you can see how you can be active. Oh, that's really nice. So I watched this interview. Yeah, here you go. Go watch the YouTube video. So, as talking about active, this week the ISWI participants were really busy and presented yesterday their results. Michi just visited them and maybe you also see what they did.
Today is the second last day of ISWI 2021 and today is also the day where the group presentations are. I have no idea what awaits me, but I'm excited. Let's go! I got a bit lost on the way to the presentations, but luckily there are maps everywhere. I first visited politics. They did a big mind map because they discussed so much. Then I went to the gender equality and LGBTQ. They were among other things discussing the gender roles and environmental responsibility.
Fingers are often pointed at women when talking about our environmental responsibility. They are said to be the ones supporting, almost single-handedly, the beauty industry with devastating impact on the planet.
Other groups also had prepared nice presentations on environmental protection, for example, but also on sustainable tourism. They did a 101 for travelers and even a quiz. There were also so many discussions and even a documentation on deforestation. Sadly, I had some technical issues and couldn't visit all groups, but they all gave their best and seeing the results of their work was very interesting. I'm excited for the next year. Until then, goodbye.
Thank you, Michi. And on it goes. Maybe you thought I'm a little bit sad because I'm here so alone, but wrong you are. I'm not wrong. May I present you our first guest for tonight, Patty. Patty organized the ISWIsion. Hi, Patty.
Hi, Melly.
How are you? I'm feeling
fine.
Good.
Yeah, quite.
So thank you for your time and maybe you can answer me some questions related to the organization from the ISWIsion.
I will try.
Okay, nice. So because of the situation we all know, we don't call it, what did you have to do differently to normal ISWI?
Well, for a start, we didn't have a local studio. We had to change plans because we didn't get a room.
Yeah, I
so
know. I'm sitting here in our new studio.
Yeah, so we planned to put our studio in various places all around Ilmenau. For example, on the campus, outside, so we wouldn't have problems with hygiene. And we also needed to clear things up with various important organizations, with the university and other people.
There are a lot of rules for the live broadcasting show, so it was really difficult. I heard. Yeah. I don't plan it, so I don't know. So
well, you know how it goes.
Yeah. Just go on. So what was maybe you can point on one difficult thing in this planning progress?
I think the most problematic thing was that we needed to put rules together that everybody has to look at and has to accept. During the set, for example, we need to wear our masks all the time, even if we are outside, and we are almost all the time outside with our set this year. We can't eat easily in the set. We need to go somewhere more distant, for example, 5 meters away, so we can put down our mask and eat something. all those things are quite difficult for our team to accept and to realize, because it's so difficult for us.
But I think that we rocked it. It was difficult this week, but it's the last show, and I think we did a good job. It was more stressful, but yeah, working with the mask, but it's important to wear them. So we have a mobile studio. Maybe you can point out some funny locations, or maybe what were your favorite location from the mobile studio 2021?
Well, as I said, we were on campus at the Audimax, for example, but we were also here in front of our office on the between two houses. There we were looked at funny because we were there with our cameras and our broadcasting van, and some were really curious what we are doing. We were also in a gravel pit, I think it's called. In Germany we call it Kiesgrube.
Oh, that's good, because I was just thinking, oh, I don't know this word. So thank you.
No problem there. We were also at the edge of the forest of Ehrenberg. And I think that's my favorite location because the view was amazing. Even though I got itches because a mosquito bite.
No, but you know,
but
it don't kill you, it makes you stronger, I think.
That's right. Today we would have been at the Kickelhallen, but the weather's not that good here in Ilmenau, so we needed a plan B.
We're still in Ilmenau,
and we yeah, we chose our office as a second best option, so we're not in danger of the thunderstorms here.
Yeah, so I have just one question for you, and it's not a serious question, it's just a funny question. Would you rather eat cat food or scream really, really loud on the campus?
Well, as I have a cat, I think I would scream really loud on campus because my cat Kuma needs his food himself.
Yeah, and I know, and also the meat I don't know what's everything inside, so I also would rather scream on the campus. And yeah, I don't, it has a sense why I just ask you this funny question, because in our next clip we ask some members of ISWIsion, would they rather eat something or do something? So, and they were really difficult questions, so let's go and see.
So our organizational team wanted to know what the crew members themselves are thinking about sustainable topics. So they asked me to ask a few questions, and I'm today here to catch a few of them when they try to get into the office. And I've spotted someone actually. I've spotted our organization team. Hello.
Hi.
I can see our next victim. It's Timo. Timo, you look like you have a lot of opinions. Here.
I have never had a single opinion.
Chrissy, do you want to answer some questions?
Yeah, okay.
You have to decide between two.
Okay, so we have some difficulties in our van, and later maybe you see where the problem started. It was not my fault. So I thought there were some difficult questions there, but yeah, I saw it before the show, so maybe you just watch later the show that you know what questions were there. But one person knows maybe the answer just to one question. And maybe you know him, it's Weatherschosch. And I don't know, maybe he can hear me. Weatherschosch, are you there? Can you hear me? Please hear me.
Can you hear me, Melly?
Yes! Woo! I can hear you.
Can you hear me? I'm here. I can hear you, yeah?
Yeah, and I can also see you, but you don't see me.
Cool.
So, how is it
No, I
going?
can't see
It's
you.
really wet there where you are.
Well, it's quite wet, but I'm in the Ilm. That's the river here, as you might see. The Ilm, well, it's why Ilmenau is called Ilmenau, because the Ilm flows through Ilmenau. And yeah, it's quite wet. It's because it's mainly made out of water, and I'm standing right in it. Yeah, the weather today in Ilmenau was quite nice, with a lot of rain and some sunshine and thunder and lightnings. But right now it's not raining that much anymore, so it's quite okay.
Oh, that sounds nice.
And as you know, Melly, maybe. Oh, okay. Oh, there's a little bit of latency. As you might know from the last shows, for tomorrow's forecast, we choose a random location in the world, since all the ISWI participants are spread around the globe in their homes because of COVID, you might know. And for tomorrow we chose Antarctica, well, Vostok Station actually, and there they'll have temperatures down to 71 degrees, which is quite cold. But it'll really feel like minus 85, so maybe put on a layer more or two than you would actually do, or what you usually do. But they won't have any rain or something, because it's too cold for rain, and they also won't have snow. And some clouds, some sunshine, also really quite nice. I don't really know if anybody lives there, so maybe this doesn't really help anybody.
I don't know if you hear me.
But well, that's all that I have to say. Yeah, what?
Yeah, I think there are some people there live and make studies about the Antarctica. There is like, I think the British, but I just read it somewhere, so don't quote me, please.
Vostok Station sounds a bit like Russia, but yeah, I mean probably somebody is there, but
yeah, somebody is there.
I doubt that they watch this show.
It's really interesting.
Or if you wanted to go to Antarctica tomorrow, well, maybe.
Just finish, Schosch.
Yeah, it's mainly cold, so if you go to Antarctica tomorrow, you should pack something warm, warm clothing, maybe like socks and something, you know. Well, yeah, that's all I have to say. That was my last weather report. We see each other maybe in 2 years. I'll go back into my forest and yeah, see you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. So yeah, this was Weatherschosch, and I don't know if we now have this nuts that wasn't, or the clip. Okay, so I just heard here on my headphones that now we don't have any problems, and now you see the difficult questions of whether it was, just look at the clip.
So our organizational team wanted to know what the crew members themselves are thinking about sustainable topics. So they asked me to ask a few questions, and I'm today here to catch a few of them when they try to get into the office. And I've spotted someone actually. I've spotted our organization team. Hello.
Hi.
I can see our next victim. It's Timo. Timo, you look like you have a lot of opinions. Here.
I have never had a single opinion.
Chrissy, do you want to answer some questions?
Yeah, okay.
You have to decide between two things. The first question would be, would you rather pay more for meat or stop eating it altogether?
I will probably stop eating it altogether, because I'm not a really big fan of meat anyway, so I could easily stop eating it.
Would you rather use the car to go to a destination far away or use public transportation?
I have never had a car in my entire life, so I'm quite used to using public transportation everywhere. So yeah, public transportation.
Would you rather buy cruelty-free cosmetics or don't use cosmetics ever again?
As you can see, I have makeup on. They're all cruelty-free. So I would buy cruelty-free cosmetics.
Would you rather buy groceries with plastic packaging or stop buying them even if you love them, like chips or chocolate?
Ooh, that's tricky. Well, chips are not really good for my skin anyway, so I would probably stop buying them. And I think there's chocolate with paper packaging without plastic, so I would probably stop buying the chocolate with plastic and just start buying chocolate with paper.
Would you rather reduce your plastic usage or your water usage?
I think my plastic usage, because I think that's the bigger problem in the part of the world we're in.
Would you rather buy stuff online or drive to the shop?
That's also depending on where the shop is. If it's like an hour drive away, then I would buy online.
Would you rather save the deforestation or the glacier melt?
I would save the glacier melt actually, because like if the glaciers won't stop melting, the corals die like a lot faster than they used to, because corals don't really like a change in the salt concentration in the oceans, and corals bind a lot more carbon dioxide than forests. So glacier melt.
With the knowledge that if I would save the glaciers, then I would save the drinking water, and I also would save the corals that reduce CO2 in our atmosphere. So I would say I would save the glaciers because of these reasons.
Would you rather save the bees or solve the plastic problem of the ocean?
Oh no! Obviously both if I can, but since I have to decide, I would say save the bees, because without bees there are no fruits and no vegetables, and I think I heard somewhere that without the bees we're all gonna die in 20 years. I don't know if that's right, but yeah, I'll save the bees.
I think the more urgent problem is the bee problem, because if we don't have bees anymore, nothing will get pollinated, or a lot of plants won't get pollinated anymore. And I think that's quite the problem for humanity and for the entire world actually. The plastic of course is a huge problem too, but I think the bees are a little bit more urgent.
I think I might save the bees. I love bees. Bees are very cute and we need them so they can go from plant to plant. And without bees we can't have fruit or vegetables. And without bees we're going to die in years more in the future. So I would say I would save the bees.
Okay, thank you very much. So we had 3 brave crew members who are ready to answer our questions. And if you want to answer them at home yourself, you can write us in the comments what you think.
So we saw her in the Would You Rather clip, and now she is here live from our broadcasting van, Michi.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, are you holding on there?
Yeah, we had a little problem with the clip.
I don't saw it, yeah.
You just pretend it did not happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen, don't. How are you feeling?
Well, it was a bit anxious because it's the first time this time that I'm clicking buttons. But yeah, it's getting better because we're almost done.
So my next question was, are we making a good job? But I think I better don't ask this question this time. But this year you were a lot in front of the camera. And maybe you can tell me what was your highlight this year?
Yeah, I was a lot in front of the camera. I don't exactly know what my highlight was. There was a lot of things, probably like the puppets that got sent to us by Stefan, who were kind of a surprise and we then incorporated into every video. They were pretty great.
Yeah, that was really nice. But I think that there are not so many in this set, so don't, or maybe search for them. But yeah, maybe how, like our viewer saw, problems and difficulties are really normal in every life, and also not everything happens how you plan it. So maybe, Michi, also for you and our team, we prepared an outtake video, and maybe we all can laugh together about these little problems.
Wie spät ist denn? Okay, 40 Sekunden!
Was?
This time everything is a little bit different. Was? Food? Good. Food. Oh, yeah, now comes food. So we're cooking. That was the food.
I'm quite lonely here, but I hope he's having some good company with me. Do you? Yes, I'm having a good time. Okay, that's just.
The Weatherschosch, such a mysterious person. Frog.
I've been out here checking on the weather, if it's good or not. It's quite nice today, actually.
That was Weatherschosch for you. And I think we are back in the studio, I guess. Yo, then...
It's cancelled. Ah! Shit.
Hi, my name is... Let's go to winter time.
Fun times. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Let's go. Was it even the right button? I'm not sure. Let's go. Let's go. Maybe we could, can we go now? Press enter.
I think we might be lost.
So how you saw, not everything just goes like it was planned, but maybe you laughed a little bit with us. Unfortunately, this ISWI 2001 is already over, and so also now our show. But I hope you had fun with us, and maybe we see us in 2 years. And I just want to thank for all viewers that they watched our shows, and for all active helpers and who prepared the ISWIsion 2021. Buonit, buenos noches, good night und guten Abend. See you in 2 years. Thank you.